So you look up to the top of a building at an angle of 33 degrees. Okay, so you look up at a 30-degree angle. Then you walk 12 meters back. And then you look up, and the angle is now 29 degrees. How tall is the building? Okay, you can also make an assumption. The assumption you can make is that the building is at a 90-degree angle with the ground, hopefully. Okay, I need you to figure out some angles using 180 stuff. Can you get me some angles on this page? Don't use any trig stuff, just use anything with 180. Okay, so what you should have discovered is this one, because these two add to 180. I'm probably going to tell you there's a 99.99% chance this question would be on an exam. So figuring out this angle would be there, because these two are side by side making 180, right? Can you get the top of this one? Did you get 4 left? What have you now created in the triangle? A pair. You've now made a pair. So what do you use, what kind of trig strategy you use if you have a pair? Sine law. Okay, I'm going to pair it with this. This is the pair I'm going to do. Why can't I do 29 and x as a pair? If I do 4 and 12 as a pair, why can't I use 29 and x as a pair? Different triangles. Remember, this is a triangle which is different than the whole thing as a triangle, and that's where they are. Okay, so I'm going to call this letter y instead. So 12 over sine 4 equals y over sine 29. That's what sine law looks like. And once you have it set up, you can do a times divide scenario, right? Not a bad idea to make sure you are practicing your typing along with me, because in this unit, the typing is important. Okay, now I'm going to work in this triangle. And I made another pair in a different triangle. Okay, this is a word problem. I also expect you to put meters on the end of that. Okay, number 2. There's a lake or something, body of water. You are on the westerly shore. That's the west. You are 600 meters from the north. 600 meters from the north. And you're 450 meters from the south. You know that from where you are, the angle between the north and you and the south, the angle between you guys all is 78. So then it says, what is the distance between the north and south? Okay, so I've already heard somebody say they recognize a SAS situation, which is cosine law. So x squared equals 600 squared plus 450 squared minus 2, 600, 450, cos 78. You should be able to type this all one big shot, and then to get x, this is x squared, so I'm going to square root the answer button. Type, 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 square root answer. Right. Good. Solve for side x. So what am I doing? I'm checking over. Do I have pairs? SAS, triple S. Those are my 3 ideas. Do you have pairs, SAS, or triple S? The only thing I can see is a pair. So I'm going to do sine law. This angle that I want needs to pair with this side. Okay, that's not helpful because I don't know this. I can't get that. You can't have 2 things you don't know. So anybody have a different strategy for me? There's this 20 on the paper. I'm guessing I have to use it, right? So what do you do with the 20? With the 20, you should get this angle. If I get that angle, how will that help me? 180, yeah, the 180 minus. Okay, so let's go 21 over sine 81 equals 20 over sine angle. Please don't call it x. You can call it something else if you want. Times divide. What do you do if you're trying to get an angle? Inverse. Times divide and then inverse. Okay, angles 1 decimals, good. Okay, now I'm going to minus. Okay, that's it. I was asked to find angle x, and then I'm good. 28.8 degrees. Okay. I feel like most of this question is usually to figure out this last side. So what do you do if I need this last side? You just repeat sine law another time, right? Okay. Probably that could be a good chance on your test kind of question where you're doing double sine law. Find the smallest angle. How do I know it's going to be the smallest? Where? What's the relationship? Where? Across from the smallest side. Okay, so that's the smallest angle. So I'm trying to find angle B. All right, I heard somebody doing some snake noises. I'm sure they weren't just doing that for no reason. Triple S. Cosine. So cos of this angle equals fraction. What do I always write first with this formula? Minus 6 squared. So if I want this, this is opposite of it. It goes in the subtraction spot. Okay, and then you fill in 8 squared plus 7 squared over 287. Okay, important, that has to be in the subtraction. The type would be the top divided by bottom, and this is an angle. So these are the things you're doing. The top stuff divided by bottom stuff, brackets, cos inverse. Okay, you get all those formulas on your formula sheet. Obviously your formula sheet's not telling you if this is SAS or triple S. You have to figure that out on your own. Okay, next question is a trig ratio. So here's what I know. I know sine is negative, and I know tan is positive. So here's what I need you to think about. Where am I? Where do I land? If the sine is negative and the tan is positive, sine is negative, tan is positive, so I'm in that quadrant. Trig always connects to right triangles. we're going to place a 13 and an 85 on this triangle. So some of you might do SOHCAHTOA business, and some of you might follow the formulas that are on your formula sheet. And this is the formula on your formula sheet. Opposite hypotenuse, YR, placing them in your triangle positions. So I need the other side of my triangle. So I need you to give me a Pythagorean theorem with subtraction, right? Because it's a smaller side. Oh, what is the oath that you took to me with this trig stuff? Do not put negatives in your math. Put negatives in your drawing locations. So I'm not doing anything about a negative 13. I'm just saying what's 85 squared minus 13 squared. So the math number is 84. But what kind of 84 is it? You have to figure that out because of location. So this is an X, so which direction are you headed? A positive or a negative 84? The answer is negative because your X is to the left. Okay, so then I need you to give me a fraction for cos and a fraction for tan. And you again can use SOHCAHTOA, or you can look on your formula sheet. Okay, I marked some of you wrong with this answer because on my test question I talked about simplified if needed. So I expect you to do something more with this. I would expect you to cancel the two negatives and just write it as a positive, right? Okay, so trig ratios, that's on there. Solve for x. What is x in this equation? What is x representing? X is an angle, right? So we're going to be finding the angle answer. Okay, how do we start? So we have to do some algebra. We're not going to just go into angles. We're going to do algebra. You have a bunch of algebra strategies under your umbrella now. Anybody pick out what I should do? I did hear it. That's right, a complex trinomial. So I'm factoring. You can also use the quadratic formula if you're a pro at that and don't want to factor. Okay, we are going to FLA number it, which is -4. So what do you want to do to get the 3? Do you want to use a 1-4 or a 2-2? 1-4. How do you get your F? How do you get your L? There's not many options. We just have to make our partners make a 1 partner and a 4 partner. We need to do a 1 and a 4 partnership. Okay, get your partners lined up in the foil positions. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to go tan x equals -2 and tan x equals fraction, opposite divide. Okay, if you quit, all you have actually figured out is a trig value. This is a trig value, that's not an angle. So you have 25% if you quit. Don't do that. You got to get to an angle. Okay, so what's next? Astica. So we're going to do this separately. Where is tan negative? So negative. Now I'm going to activate angle stuff. So how do I activate angle mode? I do a inverse. Here's the rule. Don't put negatives into the math because I'm doing tan negative as a location piece, right? Okay, so now how do I figure out the actual answer? So this is 63.4 degrees off of this line. So what is this line? Do you remember the number on this line? 180. Are you bigger or smaller than 180? So 180 minus. So 116.6 degrees is that one. And on this one, what do you do to get it? What's this line? We are 360 minus. You're less than 360. Okay, so now here's what I want you to do. Can you work through this one on your own? I want 2 more answers. So you're going to give me an Astica, a reference, a final. That's your steps. Astica, reference, final. All right, so here's my last 2 answers. I did quadrant 1, 3. I inversed a half. Then I did 0 plus. And I did 180 plus. And that worked. Matches. Okay, one more of these. What kind of algebra? Give me the algebra. If you don't know how to start the algebra, you're not going to get very far on your exam. You automatically got to know what kind of algebra you're always doing. Isolate. Isolate is the algebra strategy. Okay? You have equals 0 factoring, equals 0 formula, or isolation. Okay, right now, this is called a trig value. So I don't have the angle. This is where I need to go. I want the angle. So what are your steps again? Astica. Where does cos have a negative trig value? Did you pick the lefts? Okay, now I need to start working with angles. So I'm going to cos inverse with no negatives because I'm putting the negative into its location. If you give me your answer as a reference angle, you're going to get about 50% on a question. Figure out your last step. And there's your two answers. So again, when you have trig equations, algebra it, get a trig value. Once you have a trig value, astica, inverse, final. Okay, on this outcome, determine the exact trig value. Exact. Okay, so I should recognize that I need to go to my unit circle. On your exam, I give you a unit circle. So please don't study the drawing and making it. Don't do that. It's going to be on your formula sheet. Okay? So don't do that one outcome where we memorized how to make it. It'll be there. So this is your formula sheet. Okay, so I'm going to figure out where this is on my formula sheet. So you look at your unit circle, 150 degrees is over here. And cos. I also have this. How do I ever figure out cos? X over r, adjacent over hypotenuse. This is on my exam. I have this in front of me. X over r. What is the radius on a unit circle? What is the radius of this circle? 1. Forget it then. I'm not going to divide by 1. Don't need to. So I need to find the x value. So what is my answer? 150. What's the x value? Boom. That. So don't use your calculator, you get 0 points. You have to show me some kind of work. If you just give me an answer, I don't want that. I want that you've indicated you're finding x. Okay, sine. So here's my formula sheet. Sine says to take a y divided by an r. Y divided by an r. This is on the unit circle. This is on a unit circle, and the r is again 1. So I'm going to go to 225, and I'm going to find the y. 225, the height is right there. Okay, the last one is a tan. So a tan says to do y divided by x. And then I look on my unit circle for 300 degrees. So here's my 300 degrees, and I'm going to have to take the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. So that's the y divided by the x. Would your final answer of this be positive or negative? My final answer is going to be negative, right? I'm going to multiply, flip. Okay, here's a simple question for you. What do I write if I have 0 divided by 1? What is 0 divided by 1? 0. What is 1 divided by 0? Undefined. What's the tan of 45 degrees? What's the tan of 45 degrees? What is y divided by x going to make? 1. Right? Okay, last trig thing I think on our paper. Ambiguous triangle, everybody's favorite. Okay, so I'm going to go unknown side. 28 degrees is A. Side B is adjacent to it, 10. And do you remember what this is all about? If 10 is this long, 9 falls where? Right here. And if I keep swinging 9, what happens? Could also be form a triangle. So what is the purpose of this? You're trying to figure out a triangle that is 10, 9, and what? 10, 9, and what? So I'm going to label this. This is important to keep everything straight. 10, 9, and what? That'd be the first side I want to do. 10, 9, and what? Does that make sense? 10, 9, and what? 10, 9, and what? That's what you're trying to get me. Okay, here we go. 9 over sine 28. Right? That's the pair. Equals 10 over sine B. I need angle B. Okay, here's what you need to do though. Your calculator will give you one thing, but there's a secret second option. How do we get that secret option? Anybody remember? It's the 180 of it. What's the 180 of that? Okay, so I want you to figure out where to put this on your diagram. So visualize across from the 10. Look across from the 10. So in the yellow triangle, this would be across the 10. In my pink triangle, this is across the 10. Where would you put the big angle? Where would you put the small angle? Okay, now here's what we need to do next. We need to figure out the top yellow angle, and we need to figure out the top pink angle. Okay, so I'm going to go yellow first. The yellow triangle has this and this. So I'm going to do 180 minus. Are you getting something really small? 3.4? Anybody? Yeah. 3.4 degrees are left at the top. Okay, in the pink triangle, visualize the pink triangle. Where are the corners of it? Here and here. So 180 minus 28 and 31.4. Leaving me with 120.6. Okay, now you go to the last sides. So your last step is to separate the triangles. Bless you.